So today we're continuing our series of looking back through older graphics cards and how they perform in modern titles with a slightly more unique card that was sort of a budget choice, though was never really that great of a value to begin with. And that of course is the GT 1030. Now I'm looking at the GDDR5 version. If you're looking at one of these cards and you come across a DDR4 version, just don't get that card. Look for a GDDR5 version. But this one is a little bit different than most GT 1030s in that it has a passive cooler on it. It just has a big heatsink on it. So we're gonna be looking at, first and foremost, can it actually keep the card cool enough to continue gaming at playable frame rates once you get past the point where the actual heatsink itself is saturated with heat, and also whether it can actually still perform in 2020 on modern titles, both AAA and esports style. So first and foremost, this is another BStock EVGA GPU, and it's, in excellent condition. I'm not gonna really concern myself with tearing it down because it's just a heatsink on top and has some thermal paste on the GPU itself, so no real issues with that. But I do have one more of these EVGA BStock deals coming in the next week or so, and that's a 1066 gigabyte card. So if you're interested in seeing that, hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss that video. So the GT 1030 came out in May of 2017, and it was a pretty quiet release because frankly, when you're talking about these very budget-end cards, they tend to be quiet releases in the first place. They're not as bombastic as the big Navi launches or the RTX 3080s and 3090s. Pretty quiet release, and the GT 1030 actually presented a okay value when it was launched. At just $79 USD, it gave gamers a brand new GPU option that could get you up and running on some AAA titles, but more importantly for those people looking at the budget end like this, it gave them a really easy plug and play graphics card that could get you up and running on a lot of those esports titles. In the modern day, we see a lot of titles like Fortnite or maybe Warzone, or maybe even if you're looking at the new Star Wars Squadron games, those types of games that may need a dedicated GPU beyond just Intel integrated graphics to have a really enjoyable experience. But by the same token, you don't need a GPU that's going to be able to run the most modern AAA, most exciting games out there with the most eye candy. That's not what this GPU was ever geared towards. It was geared towards those games that people need a dedicated GPU for, but don't need the most powerful dedicated GPU for. And one of the nice things about these GT 1030s is that you can basically plug them into almost any pre-built PC out there that has a PCIe slot available. A lot of them are single width cards. They don't require any external power from the power supply, so there's no extra plug to throw into the GPU itself. You just have to drop the GPU into the chassis and let the drivers install themselves, and you're good to go, because Windows is actually pretty good in the modern day at least recognizing an Nvidia GPU or an AMD GPU and installing the drivers for you. So this was as close to a plug and play solution to a lot of gamers looking for an esports GPU that you could find. Now the price for these GT 1030s hasn't really dropped a lot since their launch, and that probably just has to do with right now GPU pricing is a little bit higher than I would really like to see it. Definitely higher than right after that mining crash when you could get RX 580s for $100. But this thing I got on the EVGA BStock midweek madness sale for $60. It was $10 off. It was going for $70, and they discounted it at $10 to right at $60. So I went ahead and picked it up just because I was curious, and I do have a pre-built right now that could definitely use a GPU like this that I can then sell as a very, very budget-friendly system. So we're going to take a look at this thing in several titles, both esports and AAA, but the test bench that it's getting tested on features the i5-10400, again featuring 32 gigabytes of DDR4 memory running at 2666 megahertz, and all titles were run off of an SSD. Not that that really gives a big difference in the actual performance of the game, but just so you're aware. And in Fortnite, on the low graphics preset, we saw an average FPS of 87, a 1% low of 64, and a 0.1% low of 37. So at least in this particular title, this is a great GPU to get you up and running, especially if you find one of these on a local deal where you can get it for, maybe that $30, $40, $50. If you're just looking for a GPU to get you up and running with Fortnite and other similar games, this actually did a really admirable job here on the low settings. And if you do like a little bit more eye eye candy, you definitely do have a little bit of headroom to get just a little more eye candy out of this GPU. Moving on to Star Wars Squadrons, which is sort of that middle ground between an esports title and a single player just for fun title. Obviously, it's geared more towards multiplayer matches, but we do see some really nice visuals in this game, and fortunately, it's a game that runs very well on PC, and this was no exception. On the low graphics preset at 1080p, we saw an average of 54 FPS, 1% low of 46, and a 0.1% low of 43, and what I really loved about running this title on this GPU is not only do we see a respectable average frame rate, you also get really nice 1% and 0.1% lows that aren't that much lower than the average, which is telling me that it's a very smooth experience on top of a solid experience for the end user from the beginning. So this is a really good title for the GT 1030. And then we ran into some AAA titles that are definitely not good titles for the GT 1030 here in 2020 or really in any year. Metro Exodus, for instance, ran at an average FPS of 13 at low settings on 1080p on the built-in benchmark. So this title is just not going to be a playable experience on the GT 1030. And the same can be said of Red Dead Redemption 2 running on this GPU with this system. We saw an average FPS of 27, a 1% low of 21, and a 0.1% low of 20. Now, this is just not good enough. So you might be able to, at an average 27 FPS, you might technically be able to play the game, but it's just really not a good experience. It's not the way that you would ever want to play a game like this, and I highly recommend that you don't really even try. On the bright side, there are some modern games that you can probably eke out just enough frames to actually play through the game, and Borderlands 3 is an example of that, and at 1080p we saw an average of 29 FPS, but this is a title I would recommend running down at 720p to give yourself a little bit of a boost that'll get you over that 30 FPS mark. At that point, I would say that while not a great experience and definitely not getting the graphical fidelity that the developers probably really want you to get out of this title, it is good enough at 720p. If you can get over that 30 FPS mark, you will be able to run this title and at least have an acceptably good time running it. Though again, if you have the budget to spend a little bit more, you get a big boost from jumping up from a $60 graphics card to something like a $100 RX 470 or an RX 570 or something like that. You're gonna see big boosts in your frame rates. So if you're really just looking for something in the esports realm, maybe the GT 1030 is something you could look at. But if you're wanting to play other games that are more demanding, then the GT 1030 just isn't gonna get it done. Now, as these games run with a passive cooler like this, you're gonna see the GPU heat up, and it seemed to target that sort of low 80s mark. About 82 degrees Celsius was where this GPU hit its equilibrium, and you do sacrifice a little bit on the clock speed side of things if you don't have any airflow moving over this thing whatsoever. At idle temperatures, we were seeing in the Heaven benchmark about 1721 megahertz for the core speed, but then by the time it hit that 82 degrees Celsius, we saw the core clocks drop down to about 1544, and it would fluctuate up and down a little bit, but you are gonna give up a little bit of performance with this GPU if you don't get any air running over it. Now, the good news with that is by doing anything to get airflow moving over this passive heatsink, you're gonna be able to drop those temperatures down low enough that you're not gonna see clock speed suffer. So if you have a rear exhaust fan, maybe you have a power supply that's acting as an exhaust fan, or you have front intakes that just sort of generally blow air into the case, you're probably not gonna have to worry about this, because since I was running this on an open air test bench, you're seeing basically the worst case scenario where there was no airflow moving over this GPU, whereas if you put it into a chassis with some case fans going on, you're probably gonna get just enough airflow over this passive heatsink that it's not gonna matter so much, and you're not gonna see those clock speeds suffer as a result of it just sitting there and baking the GPU with just the passive heatsink to worry about. But as far as conclusions go, at $60, this is probably not worth it, and as a BStock GPU, once again, it's in pretty much perfect brand new condition. Obviously, it didn't come in a brand new retail box. It came in just a generic brown box from EVGA, but the card itself is in virtually perfect condition, so I have no complaints about the quality of the GPU and the shipping quality that it came in. I'm just saying at $60, you can get a much better GPU on the used or local markets, whether you're talking about eBay and finding just a different GPU altogether for roughly $60, or you look on maybe Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, you can probably find something for the same money that gives you significantly better performance. Now, as I said in those benchmarks though, if you're just looking for something to play esports titles, this is actually a decent option for you, especially if you're just trying to target 1080p and you're running those low settings. Yeah, the GT 1030 will still do that here in 2020. But this is where I kick it back to you guys, especially those of you out there that have a GT 1030. Are you still running it, A? And B, what's your experience with it? And what games are you having maybe struggles with? What games is it running really well? I just kind of want to know all your thoughts in those comments down below. And of course, if you like the video and you want to see more like it, give it a like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things are very helpful for the channel. You can follow me both on Instagram and on Twitter at Hoosier Hardware. And as always, I'll let YouTube queue up a couple more videos from my channel for you to watch. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I'll see you guys in the next video.